大家好，我是 Olive Branch Allen. So in my previous video on coconut oil, we touched upon the smoke point of the oil and how coconut oil has a surprisingly very low smoke point. In fact, it's the bottom half of all cooking oils. That begs the question whether it is actually a good idea to use coconut oil as for high heat cooking or not. And should you be buying fashionable brand cooking oils that tout a very high smoke point that is perfect for high heat cooking? In this video, we're going to get into the smoke points of oils and what it really means for it to be safe for consumption when you're heating it continuously. You hear it all the time from friends, from cooking oil marketing, chefs, and cooking KOLs that you shouldn't heat an oil past its smoking point because that is actually when it's going to burn, it's going to break down and form toxic compounds that are harmful to the body. So they usually recommend oils with a low smoke point such as rapeseed oil, flaxseed oil, or extra virgin olive oil as a dressing only, and oils that are high in smoke points like rice bran oil, soybean oil, and peanut oil for deep fries and stir fries. But what exactly does smoke point mean? Smoke point actually refers to a temperature of a particular oil when you're heating it that it starts to produce a continuous bluish smoke. And typically people think of that as the burning point of the oil, where it starts to break down and forms toxic compounds that are harmful for the body's consumption. Now the oil's smoke point is mainly determined by the amount of free fatty acids in the oil. Now, if you may recall from our biology in previous videos, free fatty acid is attached to a glycerol backbone, forming a triglyceride molecule, and that is basically your body fat. When you hydrolyze it, you separate the glycerol molecule backbone from the free fatty acids. So now you have these free fatty acid chains floating around. Now, the more of that you have in the oil, then the lower the smoke point will be for that oil. But what's important to note here is that all cooking oils contain typically no more than just 1% of free fatty acids in the oil. So when you actually see that smoke that's being emitted from heating oil, you're really only just looking at 1% of the overall oil that's actually giving you a visual effect. Not only that, but smoke points for oils can actually vary greatly even for the very same oil by just simply changing the amount of volume of oil you have, or the container size, the airflow, and even just the source of lighting. Thus, using the smoke point to determine the oil's overall safety is a bit nonsensical. Now, there's another attribute to cooking oils that actually has a much stronger link to health outcomes. And if you've been a follower of this channel, then you probably have heard me mention this many times before, and that is oxidative stability. Oxidative stability is defined as how stable or resistant an oil is when actually reacting with oxygen. And so the more unstable the cooking oil is, then the more easily it will break down and form toxic compounds when it is heated. Oxidative stability is determined by the oil's chemical structure. More specifically speaking, it's the saturation of hydrogen ions. I've mentioned this actually many times before in my previous videos that you can refer to. You may have come across terms like saturated fats or polyunsaturated fats, and these are referring to the oil's chemical structure. And when you have an oil that is saturated with hydrogen ions, in brackets, then you actually have a chemical structure that is full. And in this case, when it is saturated or full, then it is chemically stable. Now conversely, when you have polyunsaturated fatty acids, that means you have poly, many, unsaturated, many unfilled sites. This chemical structure is not stable. And so you have many fracture points on its fatty acid chain that when you heat it up, it will actually splinter off and break, forming lots of shards of free radicals that are now going to be floating around in your body, causing harm. Oxidative stability does not correlate with smoke point, and so even smoke point, as mentioned above, isn't even a reliable measurement to determine whether an oil is safe for consumption or not. The scientific literature points clearly that oxidative stability is the main indicator for a cooking oil's resistance to heat and ultimately whether it is safe for human consumption or not, and not smoke point. So when you're deciding which cooking oil is best for your cooking needs, then you should probably refer to the type of fat it is, such as is it a saturated fatty acid, or is it a monounsaturated fat, or is it a polyunsaturated fat? That's it for today's video. I hope you found it helpful, and do let me know in the comments below which cooking oil you use at home and whether this video has changed your mind or not. That's it, and I'll see you next time.